Assalamu alaikum, welcome to the video. If you've clicked on this video, that means that you want to learn what to say when you are in your prayer and you are in the bowing position and you are in the prostration position. Now, obviously, it's very important that we go through this in great detail so that we can do our best to make sure that we are saying everything correctly. We don't want to be in our prayer repeatedly for months and years saying the wrong thing. As we're beginners, we don't know the letters, we don't know how to pronounce the words properly. It's very easy for us to make mistakes and mix up the meaning of what we're trying to say. So we're going to try our very best to avoid that today. So by the end of this video, you are going to know word by word, letter by letter, vowel by vowel, exactly what to say when you are bowing in your prayer, when you stand up from bowing, and when you go into the prostration position. Also, when you go into the sitting position and then back into prostration. So we're going to conclude the video at that point, and then we're going to complete the end of the prayer separately. Now, if you're new to the channel, this channel helps people that are new to Islam learn the basic fundamentals of their religion. And we also go into detail breaking down what to say during your prayer, and how to say, for example, the Islamic greeting, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. So if you're new to Islam and you need to learn these basics, then this is the right channel for you. So before we get started, if you are brand new to this, is this going to be difficult? Yes. Is it going to feel awkward for a while? Yes. But what I promise you is you're going to feel, inshallah, much more confident by the end of this video, because we're going to break it down word by word and syllable by syllable. So with that being said, let's get to work. So if you're watching this video, I'm going to assume that you've already been through our series and you've already learned how to say the opening supplication for the prayer. You've learned from me how to say Surah Al-Fatiha. We've also done an extra video on Surah Al-Ikhlas, so that you have an extra chapter of the Quran to do as a sunnah within your prayer. So you finish reciting Surah Al-Fatiha, you're going to say, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, okay? And now we're going to be in this position. So what are we going to say in Arabic here? We're going to start off with the first word, which as an English speaker shouldn't be too difficult for you. You're going to say, Subhana, Subhana, Subhana. There should really be like an extra A here to indicate that you're saying Hana. You're elongating the A sound slightly. So imagine it was written like Hana. Okay? So this is in Arabic here. Subhana. 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 That's pretty easy and straightforward. Now we have Rabbiya. 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 Subhana Rabbiya. You can hear the sound of this little symbol, which makes us go like this. Rabbiya. Rabbi. Rabbi. Instead of Rabbi, Rabbi, we're kind of making a pause. We're saying Rabbi. Rabbi, 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 okay? So it's going to be Rabbiya, Rabbiya, Subhana, Rabbiya, Subhana, Rabbiya. So now we're going to look at this last word, which is here. Now, the tricky part that we have to understand is that you can see that this is one word and this is another word. But when we're going to say this in a sentence, we're going to join these words together. So let's look at how this word is said by itself, and then I'll teach you how to join them, okay? So let's look at al, which is here. Al-azim, azim. Al-azim. So when it's written in English, it just doesn't really help you that much. I put it there just because I'm assuming that you can't read Arabic and you don't know the Arabic letters. So I'm going to try my best to explain them to you, but you need to understand that it's going to be almost impossible for you to perfect the prayer and to get it to a level where you actually are very competent without actually learning to read the Arabic language. So we're going to use this type of video as a stepping stone, but I don't want you to rely on using these English letters for years. It's very common that someone who's a revert will basically use these as a way of learning the prayer, and then they'll just pretty much just leave it for years and years and years, and 10 years goes by and they still haven't learned to read the Quran in Arabic. They still don't know how to read this in Arabic, and that means that fundamentally the way that they pronounce the words is going to be wrong in some way or another. So it's vital to understand that this video is just a stepping stone. If you do want to learn how to read the Quran in Arabic, which I highly advise you do, then there's a link in the description. You can book a call with me, and then hopefully we will be able to make a plan for you to learn how to read the Arabic language, because I don't really think it's a recommendation. I think that as a revert, you have to do it. Do you really want to go the rest of your life without knowing how to read the Quran in Arabic? I mean, it may seem like something that's very difficult to do, but trust me, you can do it. You just need to put your intention right, and you just need to get to it. So if you want to get started today, then you can just book a call with me and we'll take it from there. With that being said, let's look back at this. So we're saying al-azim, So this letter here, I've written with a capital A, but that doesn't really mean anything to someone who doesn't know the letters. But what I'm trying to say is that this A sound is different from this A sound. How? It sounds like this. So this is instead of So here we're saying al-azim. So this letter here, we've written with a DH in capital, okay? But what we're going to do is we're going to try to make it sound like this. Leem. Rather than theme. It's more of a full sound. So you're saying something like this. Leem. Al-leem. So the eem part here, it should be quite easy for you. So I feel like you'll be able to do that. So subhana should be quite easy. Rabbiya, that should be quite easy. You just need to pay attention to the double B sound. Instead of saying Rabbiya, you're saying Rabbiya. Subhana Rabbiya al-azim. So this and this letter are the tricky letters. This one and these two here, right? Leem. So try to make it a full sound and try to make this sound as best as you can. Al-azim. Al-azim. So this is going to be quite tricky, I understand that, but this is the best that we can do. You have to just try your best to mimic what I'm saying, okay? Now, let's go ahead and join these two words together. So you can say it this way if you want to. You can say Subhana Rabbiya al-azim. But that's not normally the way that you would say it. You normally join this word and this word together. So when you join these two words together, it's going to sound like this. Rabbiyal. This letter here is the L sound. So we're saying Rabbiyal azim. Rabbiyal azim. Rabbiyal azim. Rabbiyal azim. Subhana Rabbiyal azim. So try to say it a couple of times with me and then we'll move on. Subhana Rabbiyal azim. Subhana Rabbiyal azim. Subhana Rabbiyal azim. Subhana Rabbiyal azim. So once we've said that 3 times, we're then going to stand up and we're going to say Sami'allahu liman hamidah. Sami'allahu liman hamidah. So again, this might sound a little bit intimidating, but let's break it down. So we're saying Sami'a. So again, we have that letter that we talked about before that doesn't sound like A. It sounds like this. Sa sounds like an English letter. Mi, again, sounds like an English letter, so it's not that far away. Sa, mi. So we can say sa, mi. Now we have this tricky letter right here. Sami'a. 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 Okay, so this is a word by itself. And then we have Allah. Allahu. Allahu. Okay? Allahu. So when you say this L sound here, you're going to say Allah. You're not going to say La. Okay? So in Arabic, when you say like the A sound, you can kind of say A, or you can say or. Certain letters will say A, certain letters will say or. So in this, we don't say Allah. Okay? Allah. we make it sound like oh, so it's kind of like Allah, Allahu, Allahu. And then we're going to join these two words together, okay? So we can say, if we feel comfortable, you can say Sami'a Allahu. Sami'a Allahu. But the way that you would normally say is to join them together. So you'd say Sami'a Allahu. Sami'a Allahu. Then we have this word here, liman. Li man. Liman. So this should be easy for you to say. Li man. Li man. Sami'a Allahu liman. Sami'a Allahu liman. Sami'a Allahu liman. And then we have the final word here. We have hamida. Hamida. There's actually an H sound here, okay, which I put in a capital, and then I put a lowercase h as well. That's to indicate that there is two different H sounds in Arabic. So the first one sounds more like this. Ha, ha, ha. This one here, it might be difficult to tell the difference, but it sounds more like this. Ha, ha. So one is ha, one is ha. So I'm trying my best to like exaggerate so that you can hear the difference over the microphone. But this one here, ha, ha, is more like a vibration, lower frequency sound. And this one, ha, ha, sounds like smoother and kind of like the air is flowing out when you say it. So we say ha, ha, mi, da, da, hamida, hamida. I would say that this is actually quite difficult to like really understand the difference between these two letters here. So just try to copy what you can hear over the microphone and, you know, keep practicing and do the best that you can. But as I said, I highly recommend that you really need to learn it from a teacher, and you need to go through like each letter and learn where it comes from and how to pronounce it, and then have that teacher actually correct you. So let's say Sami'a, Sami'a Allahu, Sami'a Allahu liman hamida, hamida. Sami'a Allahu liman hamida. Sami'a Allahu liman hamida. Sami'a Allahu liman hamida. Let's go back to the beginning. Let's start from here, yeah? Subhana Rabbiyal Azim. Subhana Rabbiyal Azim. Subhana Rabbiyal Azim. Then we stand up. We say Sami'a Allahu liman hamidah. Sami'a Allahu liman hamidah. Okay, you're just going to say that once. And if you're praying behind someone, then you don't need to say this bit. But obviously when you pray by yourself, you have to say it. So make sure that you learn how to do it. After we say Sami'a Allahu liman hamidah, then we need to learn how to say Rabbana lakal hamd. So as I said before, we have a situation where we're joining this word and this word. We'll talk about how to say them separately if you feel like that's necessary. And then after that, we'll join them together too. So let's say Rabbana, Rabbana. When we say this like ra, ra, we're not saying ra, like Rabbana. Try to say ra, Rabbana. And then again, we have this symbol here, which kind of symbolizes that we have a doubling of the letter here. So it's like Rabbana, rather than Rabbana, Rabbana, we're saying Rabbana, Rabbana, okay? Rabbana, which means our Lord, yeah? Rabbana, laka, for you. La, ka, laka. Now I've put the L sound here in English, but this word as it sounds is just laka, okay? So let's just do that for now. Rabbana laka. Rabbana laka. Rabbana laka. And now we're going to say this word here separately, okay? And then we'll join in together. So we're saying al-hamd, al-hamd. Again, this H sound that we have here, this is the sound that sounds more like a air flowing out. When you say ha, 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 hamd, al-hamd, al-hamd. So when we join laka and alhamd, it'll sound like this. Laka alhamd, laka alhamd, laka alhamd, laka alhamd, laka alhamd. So, ربنا لك الحمد, ربنا لك الحمد, ربنا لك الحمد. And you're going to say this once. When we say na, it's kind of important that you are like elongating the a sound slightly. So you're not saying rabbana, rabbana. You're saying rabbana, rabbana. So I've written two a's here to kind of symbolize that you need to say a, not just a. Okay, rabbana. So make sure that you elongate this. Okay, let's move on. So once we've done that, we're going to go into the prostration position. And when we go into the prostration position, we're going to say Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. So you're going to say that one time. So once we're in this position here, what are we going to say? So if you recall from when we went into the bowing position, we said Subhana Rabbiya. Subhana Rabbiya. So we already learned how to say that. So this part here is exactly the same. Subhana Rabbiya. But now we're saying the Most High. So we're saying Al-A'la, Al-A'la. So before we said Al-Azim. Here we say Al-A'la. So this probably is going to sound really tricky, but let's break it down, yeah? So this is again here, this A sound, which is going to be tricky for us because we're saying Al-A'la, Al-A'la. So I would say that this is going to be quite hard to imitate, but let's try our best, yeah? And we also want to say like another A sound here. So we're saying La, Al-A'la. So let's go ahead and join these two words together and we say Rabbi al-A'la, Rabbi al-A'la, Rabbi al-A'la. Subhana Rabbi al-A'la, Subhana Rabbi al-A'la, Rabbi al-A'la. So you're going to say this 3 times. Believe me, I know that this is going to be difficult for you, but every step that you take towards this is going to be rewarded. So don't forget that and just enjoy the struggle, because this is part of the experience. Like, this is part of the enjoyment. You're striving towards something. You're striving towards getting better. So don't feel bad about that. Feel good about yourself, that you are trying to improve yourself and you are trying to get closer to your Lord. So once we've said that 3 times, we're going to go into this position right here where we're going to sit and we're going to say 3 times Rabbil firli, Rabbil firli, Rabbil firli. So again, this word is going to be tricky to say because we have this unusual GH sound, which we don't have in English, so it's going to be awkward for us to try and pronounce. What I would recommend is that, listen, you just need to put in a lot of time listening to the Quran, and ultimately you need to just get a teacher. But listening to the Quran will get you more accustomed to hearing this type of sound. And then when you try to imitate what the person is saying naturally over time, over months and years, it'll become more natural to you. But for now, let's just try to imitate, yeah? So we say Rabbi Ighfir, Ighfir li. So Rabbi, again, we have this weird W looking symbol, so that indicates that the B is doubled. So we say Rabbi, Rabbi, okay? And we're gonna have to join these 2 words. But let's look at this word on its own for now, which is Ighfir, 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 Ighfir. And then when we join them together, it's going to say Rabbighfir, Rabbighfir. So So it's just really the GH sound that's like kind of super awkward. But saying fir is not that hard. Rabbi is easy, fir is easy, and li is easy, right? So let's just make sure that we focus on the things that we can say. Like, let's make sure we get them right. And then the things that we struggle on, well, we just keep practicing them. So, Rabbil fil. So, Rabbil fil li. Rabbil fil li. Rabbil fil li. Rabbil fil li. So we're going to say that 3 times. Then once we've said that 3 times, we will then go back into the prostration position and we'll say Subhana Rabbiyal A'la 3 times, which we've already discussed. So you know how to say that now. So we're pretty much covered up to the end of the video, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through everything once again, and I want you to repeat it with me so that we can do this properly in one go as if we were doing it in the prayer. That way, when you go to do your next prayer, you have a much better chance of being able to say it, okay? If you want to pause before I say it to see how you're getting on, and then you can listen to me say it, go ahead and do that. But other than that, let's jump straight into it. So we're now in the bowing position, and we're going to say Subhana Rabbiyal Azim. Subhana Rabbiyal Azim. Subhana Rabbiyal Azim. We say that 3 times, okay? Then we stand up and we say Sami'allahu liman hamidah. We say that 1 time. Next, we say Rabbana lakal hamd. 1 time. We go into the prostration position. We say Allahu Akbar. Now that we're in the prostration position, we're going to say Subhana Rabbiyal A'la. Subhana Rabbiyal A'la. Subhana Rabbiyal A'la. We say that 3 times. Then from there we go into the sitting position. When we go into the sitting position, we're going to say Rabbighfirli. 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 So we're going to say that 3 times, okay? And then what we'll do is we'll go back into the prostration position. Subhana Rabbiyal A'la. Subhana Rabbiyal A'la. Subhana Rabbiyal A'la. And then from there we either stand up and we start reciting the Quran for another unit of prayer, or we're going to go into the sitting position. So the sitting position, which looks like this, that's what we're going to cover in another video, because that's going to be split into 2, and even that on its own is going to be quite large. So before moving on to that, why don't you just give a couple of days, maybe a week or 2 of just practicing this and everything before up to this position. So what you want to do is you want to know how to say the opening supplication. We've made a video on that. You want to learn how to say the opening chapter of the Quran. We've made a video on that, breaking it down word by word too. And then you want to learn how to say an extra chapter of the Quran so that you can add that to your prayers as a sunnah. We've also done a word by word video for that too. So once you've done all of those things, now you've gone into the bowing position, you've stood up from the bowing position, you've gone into prostration, you've sat saying Rabbighfirli 3 times, and then you've gone back into prostration saying Subhana Rabbiyal A'la 3 times. Now if you can get that down, we're ready to move on to the next stage. As I said before, especially if you're a reader, I highly recommend that you get someone to teach you how to read the Quran in Arabic, because if you can't do that, then you need to have that as a goal anyway. You may as well start sooner rather than later. Otherwise, we end up just procrastinating, and years and years and years go by, and you're still there saying your prayer in a deficient manner, which if you just put maybe 6 months of work into learning, you would have been able to fix that problem ages ago. So like I said, if you want to do that, then go ahead and click on the link below and you can book a call with me. And also, if you want to just practice your prayer with me, then you can go ahead and do that too. So we can book a call, and then you can just read, for example, what you want to read to me from the prayer, and I can help correct you. Just to be clear, I only do that for brothers. So if someone wants to book and learn how to read the Quran and they're a sister, then they would need to do that with somebody else. If you have any questions or you want me to go into any more detail about this specific part of the prayer, please go ahead and write that in the comments. I do read all of my comments, and I'll try my best to get back to you. See you in the next video. Assalamu alaikum.